Let's talk about Hitler.
That'll make sense later.
I'm immaculately conceived.
I don't know what to do.
I swear I'm not stupid.
Take it or leave it. Sometimes you just want to leave it.
If I gotta borrow my mom's underwear, I'm borrowing her underwear.
You just, yeah.
Misa likes the Jar Jar Binks.
I'm not gonna edit it out.
Oh no.
I don't know. Like, I think it was pretty great. Just staying on the
Sucks to
planet.
suck.
Why are you saying it with a question mark?
Clap, bitch.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Action.
And we're live. I'm Anna.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is Why Are You Yelling? Welcome back to another F1 race review. This time we are talking about Monaco. Often referred to as the crown jewel of races. And I don't know about all that.
Who said that?
Somebody did, and I think they were a liar.
I think they told the truth once upon a time. I think that's stretching the truth a bit now. But yeah.
This is round 8 of the 2025 Formula One season. It is officially called the how do you say the watch brand name? Tag Heuer Grand Prix de Monaco. The track is called the Circuit de Monaco.
Yes. Okay, so our podium was Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, and Oscar Piastri. So basically, how they qualified is how they finished.
Oh my God! Imagine that.
I
Even
know.
with implementing a new mandatory two-stop, we still managed to finish in the order we qualified.
It was no.
There's just
No. So our constructor standings are McLaren with 319 points, Mercedes with 147 points, Red Bull Racing with 143 points, Ferrari with 142 points, Williams with 54, Haas with 26, Racing Bulls, or VCARB, with 22, Aston Martin with 14, Alpine with 7, and Kick Sauber with 6. What's crazy is Red Bull and Ferrari are literally separated by 1 point, and Red Bull is only separated by 5 points from Mercedes. I have to count my fingers. 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 points. I'm smart.
no one saw that.
Anyway, and then our driver standings, Oscar is still holding on to the lead, but only by a few points now. So he's at 161 and Lando is at 158. So he's still leading the Drivers' Championship. So we will see how that progresses in Barcelona.
I want to mention, and I'm pretty sure you and I talked about this last year, but the track, the Monaco circuit, it really puts into perspective how fast these cars are moving. Because when I tell you I've never been so stressed out watching a race from when we get the onboards. Because first of all, it's confusing as shit. I'm like, how do they even know where the actual track is? Because it's such a narrow track. The walls are so close to you, and the turns are so sharp, and the walls are so high. You can't see anything. It's not like you're on more of an open plane where you can see where the road is gonna be. It's just there. It's on you fast, and you're moving so fast. I'm like, how do you even know? Because also they're on a street circuit, so it's like some of the lines painted on the road are from the actual streets of Monaco. It's not just dedicated to the track.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you can't even go by the lines on the freaking road.
Nope.
How do they know where to go? How do they know?
That's why they're the best 20 drivers in the world.
I guess.
And the Formula 2, and the Formula 3, and the Porsches. So.
And the free practice. They get to, I guess, get some familiarity with it. But I'm like, I would end up in the barrier so quick. Could never, because it's just so, you can't even see, their reaction times.
Yeah.
It really puts into perspective, not just how fast the cars move, but how fast the drivers are absorbing information, and their reaction times to everything is so quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nuts.
It is crazy.
And then this freaking circuit, it's got
this freaking what?
Freaking circuit.
I thought you said surrogate, and I was like, there's no
that too. No,
that as well.
There's elevation changes.
Yeah.
There's that one crazy hairpin turn that spirals down and then up on a hill. Nuts, just nuts. It's a cool circuit.
No, yeah, it's super cool. It's just
not
tiny.
Yeah.
To be honest, so with Monaco, everybody kept saying acting like Monaco is the problem, right? Monaco's been the same pretty much since it's been on the calendar. It's the cars. It's not the circuit that's the problem. It is the cars. So you've got 3 options. Take it off the calendar, make the cars smaller, or you're going to have to adjust the track. So in some way, shape, or form. And I obviously don't think you can adjust all of Monaco to be wider. You're just going to have to include somewhere where these drivers can overtake. Like, there has to be something.
1 or 2 places.
Or a 4th fun option. I think maybe just make a special car.
For Monaco.
For Monaco. A smaller. Maybe for Austria. If
there's Petite Le Mans, there could be Petite Monaco.
Petite Le Mans just means a tiny Le Mans. It's just like 12 hours.
It's a small
car. The cars.
But
no,
it's
not.
a small car for Monaco. Petite Monaco.
Yeah. I think that, like, anytime I hear, oh, I don't want to watch a race that was determined on Saturday. It's boring as fuck. And honestly, I'm sure the drivers aren't having fun either, because it's just, what's the point? Like, I want to watch people race, and hopefully the race car drivers want to race. But
it was determined. It's a Saturday race. It's determined qualifying. I'm like, then why are we even racing?
Lame.
What's the point?
At that point, just don't even race Sunday, because you already qualified. We already know who's going to finish where.
Qualifying is only a means to determine the order in which you start. The actual race should still matter.
Exactly.
And what happens in the race should matter.
Yes.
And it does not at Monaco.
And so I'm like, oh, if we have so many tracks where they're like, it's so hard to overtake, and that's just because of how big the cars are, but let's just make special little cars.
I mean, and
let's have special races.
It's very obvious that it's the size of the cars, because Formula E races at Monaco as well, and they were able to do overtaking maneuvers because the cars are smaller.
And it's also it has nothing to do with how wide they are; it's how long they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if you go look at Senna's car, it's very wide. Like, all those cars, they're wide. They're way too fucking long. So something's got to be done, and it's like, if it's a matter of adjusting the track somewhat and it will allow that fair enough. Something's got to be. I mean, you can add 6 more stops. It's going to be the exact same thing. So
yeah, part of what makes Monaco what it is the history, the tradition. Yes. All the corners have different, and parts of the track have different names for different reasons, and it's very historic. I mean, it's been on the calendar as long as Formula One has existed.
It's legendary,
and it is a cool track. It's just not, at this point, it is not suited for modern Formula One cars, and that is a problem.
Yeah, and I'm like, and there's 2. You can look at it like it's Monaco's fault, or you can look at it as it's the developer's fault. Also, something that I thought was interesting was we saw a lot this weekend of people playing the team game and basically keeping the pack back so you could get free pit stops, right? Mm-hmm. And I heard Alex Jakes say, the race director, or maybe it was Joylin, one of them, one of the commentators on F1 TV said, the race director had the option to pretty much decide whether or not before the weekend started, if that was going to be, like, you could get penalized for that, and they decided not to. They fucking should have.
Yep.
They 100% should have, because it's just fucking boring. And it makes everybody else behind. It just makes it to where there's physically nothing you can do at that point.
They're not actually racing. The point of racing is to drive fast.
Or it's just like to be clever, or to do things.
But it's to come across the finish line first.
Yes.
And in order to do that, you have to be the fastest. There's strategy at play, yes. But ultimately, it is to drive fast and faster than the other people you're around. And when you're intentionally driving slowly, that goes against the heart and it goes against the spirit of the sport. And I just don't, like, I understand.
I'm not mad that the teams did it. Because do what you can do.
It's within the rules.
Yeah.
It's on the race directors and the people making the rules to say, yeah, no, you can't do that.
Exactly. It was just like, do you know what have you ever heard someone, I don't know if you heard when Laura Winter was talking about, like, a Joker lap?
They mentioned it, but I didn't know what they were talking about.
So a Joker lap, like in rallycross or like rally cars and things like that, there is essentially, like, there's the main track, and then there's like this little section you can take instead. And what it is it's either the shorter distance or a longer distance. But you have to take it at least once, or at least however many times. So that's where she was saying, like, if you were to do something like that, then you have the teams having to, like, strategically, when am I going to take, whether they decide to make it shorter or longer, when will I take this route? Because then you have a situation of, like, making the race maybe a little more interesting to figure out, like, and if it's shorter, you can't keep taking it. If it's longer, you have to decide when is that going to be better, because that could then allow people to pass you. And
It's just a way
it's a way to try to make it more interesting. And I'm like, when George Russell had enough of being behind Alex and he just went straight across and just cut him, I'm like, that could be one of those ways that's like, you're only allowed to do that X amount of times or something. I don't know. I mean, I understand history wise, it's a legendary track. People, like, you want to be a driver that's won at Monaco. It's just they're gonna have to make some sort of decision, because I mean, year after year after year, like, it's boring as fuck, and the drivers don't even have fun. Like, that's what sucks. It's like, yeah, the environment's fun if you're there, but other than that, it's not fun for the drivers, and it's not fun for the millions of people watching the sport either. So
I think they have fun at qualifying. I think they have fun when they can drive faster on the track, because it's a cool track. It's a fun thing to drive super fast.
Yeah, but what sucks too is it's so narrow. Look at how many impeding situations we had. So it's like, I think they have fun during qualifying when everybody isn't having to do it. So if you get lucky enough to go on a flyer and you're not impeded, but it's just so crowded.
Well, I mean, that's why in F2 they do it in they split the grid in half. Basically, they do 2 sessions of qualifying. They have half go at one point and half go at another point, because they can't like have everybody on the track all at the same time.
I think they have way more cars too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They have over 20 cars.
Yeah.
Because there's just no practical way that you can have that many cars on the track at the same time. It's dangerous.
Yeah. So yeah, that was Monaco was something, but we can hop into the fun facts.
Yes. Fun facts.
Hopefully there's some.
We'll see. Okay, so Lando Norris's victory in Monaco was McLaren's first win there since 2008 with Lewis Hamilton. It was a record-extending 16th win for McLaren in Monaco, which is their most at any F1 venue.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
This was Lando Norris's first victory since the season-opening Australian Grand Prix. It was his 6th career win, putting him level with teammate Oscar Piastri.
That's crazy that Oscar had surpassed him for a second.
Mm-hmm.
What in tarnation?
So Charles Leclerc finished P2 as far as best result of the season so far. It was only his 2nd Monaco podium finish in any racing category. And he won the race last year.
Yeah, I didn't. I guess, yeah, that's where that Monaco curse kept getting him before that.
Yes, because
last year.
he has qualified P1 at Monaco several times and has only converted it to a win once, and it was last year. Like, that Monaco curse was real.
He broke it.
It was Ferrari's 58th Monaco Grand Prix podium finish, the most by any constructor. Oscar Piastri finishing at P3. It was his 7th consecutive podium result. It was McLaren's first double podium in Monaco since 2007. So for Piastri, it was his 34th point scoring race weekend in a row, the 3rd longest streak in history.
Oh yeah, because pretty much every race he finishes is just extending that streak at this point. So.
Yes.
Because I think almost every time we have one of those where it's like
it just keeps extending but he's 34 weeks in a row so far of scoring a point in F1. And I'm just like, bruh, that's really impressive.
It is pretty cool.
That's
a whole season.
Yeah, it's the fact also, like, how reliable the cars are. I know, in I would say probably the previous generation, so more like when Max first started, so like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, power units failing and engine problems and stuff like that. Like, engine reliability was a big issue with people DNFing.
Yeah.
So the fact that, like, the cars are so reliable now that he can even get to a point where he can be 34 weeks in a row scoring points, not having to DNF, or even, when he saved the race in Australia this year,
that was
when
crazy.
He spun in the gravel and he was like, "Not today, Satan."
That's still one of, like, that was insane.
That's like a season highlight.
Yeah, that's just wow.
So the top 3 starters finished in grid order in Monaco for the 3rd consecutive year.
Yeah.
So starting 1, 2, 3, finishing 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
In P4, we had Max Verstappen. He missed the podium for the 4th time in the last seven Grand Prix.
Dang, Max. I mean, he's just so he's over it. He's just like, Monaco.
His
I'm
race
bored.
was they were holding out hope for a red flag or something at the end, but eventually in the last lap, he had to pit and change tires to meet the minimum 2-stop requirement. So He was in front for a good chunk of the race, and then as soon as he got out the way, Lando was like, "See ya!"
He was fucking gone.
He set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap.
That was crazy. I mean, I was like, oh my God, he's like gone.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that was just really telling to like how much Max was truly holding him up.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, I was so confused because I was watching the race on my phone. I was busy Sunday, so then I was like catching it here and there. So I watched like the 1/4 of it, and then I caught like the last few, maybe 10 laps live, and Max was up front. And I didn't know until finally that he still had one more pit stop. I was so confused. I said, what
happened?
what the hell?
What in tarnation?
What in tarnation? And then I realized, oh, okay, he has to pit and stuff. So I was very confused at first.
So this was his second time in a row finishing off the podium in Monaco.
Yeah, because last year it was Charles, Oscar, and Carlos.
So Lewis Hamilton took P5 for Ferrari and has not finished on the podium in Monaco since 2019. He gained the most positions of all the point scorers in the race, moving up 2 whole places.
I was, in a way, Ferrari can blame the engineer for Charles not winning. Lewis's engineer, because Lewis was told wrong information during qualifying about Max. And so that's why he got the 3-place grid penalty, which is why Ferrari didn't get to play the team game like everybody else. So at the end of the day, if you pinpoint the moment that was gone, that's what it was.
All hope was lost.
Because Lewis qualified 4th, and then he had to start 7th because of something completely out of his control.
Because him and his engineer are having communication problems.
I was reading that he's having a lot of the same issues that Carlos Sainz had. With the same engineer. And at this point, you have a 7-time world champion, literally goated, the best on paper that's ever existed. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You didn't sign a regular driver when you signed Lewis Hamilton. So if it's not working, you still have a large chunk of the season to go. Change it now.
Yep.
If that's a consistent thing that keeps happening with the communication, it needs to change now. And it's not trying to talk bad about anybody. It's just the fact that, are you here to win this season, or are you just gonna whatever and focus on 2026, which is so lame. Like, this season is still very early. You have ample opportunity, and you have 2 great drivers. What's happening here?
Yeah, I understand wanting to give it time. When you have a new driver paired with a new engineer, they got to work out the kinks and stuff. But I mean, we're 8 races in. If you haven't quite figured out the communication component by now, I mean, something as simple as the fact of like, I'm asking you questions and you're not answering them.
What he said, how far am I off of who is in front of me or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, Charles is on medium tires. Girl, what are you talking about? Lewis goes, I didn't ask that. But he goes, I know it really doesn't matter, but I was asking. How far away am I? Am I a minute? That is insane. Like, why he shouldn't have? And
why do I have to ask a question twice? It's one thing if you can't hear me, but why am I asking? I know you heard me because you gave me information and responded when I asked a question. You just didn't answer my question. So why am I having to waste my time and effort when I'm in the middle of a fucking Grand Prix trying to drive my ass off and get us some good points for the team? Why am I having to repeat myself?
It doesn't make any
sense. When I know you can hear me. It's not like it's a technical problem. It's not like there's extra noise.
No.
None of that. No, it's just you just didn't reply to my question.
No, and whether or not you think that information is important for me to know, I'm asking it. And you need to tell me it.
You don't get to decide what is important or not.
Especially if I ask.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That's very frustrating. But at the end of the day, Ferrari, if they want to pinpoint the reason Charles isn't on the podium, there it is. Or he was on the podium, but if you want to pinpoint why he isn't first, you can pinpoint to that moment, because Lewis didn't get to support him. It's crazy.
Moving on to Esteban Ocon, who finished P7. It was Haas's best ever result in a Monaco Grand Prix. It was Ocon's 3rd points finish of the season.
Yeah, that was exciting for them.
Yep. At Racing Bulls, Isaac Hadjar finished P6. It was a career best finish for him. Which, I mean, kudos to Isaac. Again, just quietly impressing everybody at every turn.
Yep, I agree. That was, I was very excited.
I mean,
for
just
him.
killing it. Did killed it in qualifying, and was able to, work with Liam, who qualified behind him, played the team game, and they were both actually able to end up in the points.
Yeah.
Which Liam said he wasn't expecting to, but it just ended up working out that way. And so, great result for the team.
Yeah, he got lucky because Williams was also playing the team game, so it's really what led to that huge gap between Williams and them. So it worked out.
So, and as we mentioned, Liam Lawson finishing in P8 means that both Racing Bulls drivers scored their career best finishes in Monaco, which is really cool.
I think that's Liam's. Those are his first points this season. So,
and it was the first double points finish for Racing Bulls in Monaco since 2019.
Well, good for them. They're doing well.
They're doing quietly okay.
Yeah.
It's like,
they're like minding my business over here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay out the limelight.
Mm-hmm. So Alex Albon racing for Williams finished 9th for the second consecutive Monaco Grand Prix. He's only failed to score once this season. And then teammate Carlos Sainz finished P10. So Williams scored points with both cars in Monaco for the first time in 20 years.
Wow. Watch out. Williams is on the rise.
They're a dangerous pairing. Alex, and we've been saying this whole time, we knew Alex and Carlos together was a strong driver lineup, and with everything James Vowles is doing at Williams, I mean, he very impressed, very
queen.
Impressed.
He's a queen. He's king.
I love it. Moving on to Mercedes, George Russell finished 11th, and Kimi Antonelli finished 18th. Mercedes failed to score for the first time since Australia 2024.
Damn.
So this is the first time neither car for Mercedes scored a point in over a year.
Yeah, it's nuts. That was George Russell was over it.
He
cracked me up so bad.
So bad. It was he's like, fuck it. And just like, I can't do this anymore. He's like, I'll take the penalty. And then the steward said, no. You're not just getting a 5-second penalty. You're getting a drive-through penalty. And then they added other stuff to it, I believe, because they basically wanted to make it very clear that that's unacceptable. That you can't just go off track, gain an advantage, and be like, no, I'm just taking the penalty. I'm not obstinately. I think it's one thing if you go off track and overtake and gain an advantage, but that's just how things happened.
Bro just cut the track.
He just said, shoot.
He said, I'm done with this shit.
It's the equivalent of when you get road rage and you're like,
yeah, he was like, I'm done with this shit, bro. I don't give a fuck.
I love that moment.
Antonelli did it, and they were like, give it back. Give it back.
Give it back. You can't do that. Okay, so moving on to Aston Martin. Fernando Alonso's retirement for Aston Martin means he is pointless after 8 races, his worst start to a season in 10 years.
I do not love the way that's worded whatsoever. He is without points. You're not pointless, Alonso.
He's pointless.
Well, I think one of the commentators a few races ago also said that, and I know what they meant.
Yes.
I'm like, ooh, don't love that. Just say without points or something.
You don't have points.
You do not have points, or he is
Your
still.
Your existence is not pointless.
He is still without points. That is probably one of my biggest disappointments of the entire race, actually, because I literally said, if nothing else, I just want Alonso to get points, if nothing else, and then done. I was like.
Didn't Alonso during qualifying ask if he could come in because he drove as fast as he possibly could?
Well,
didn't that happen where he was like, I can't go faster. Like, please, can I come in? I'm done. That's as fast as I can do it. They said something to him, and he's like, good, because I'm cooked. That's it. And then I think he went and set a faster lap, one lap after that. And it's like, clearly, that was not the fastest you could go.
Maybe he was just being funny on the radio.
Maybe. But he was very funny in qualifying. And then I was very excited, if I remember right.
He was very excited. And then
they qualified.
Yeah. And then he was mad during the race because basically he wanted to do what Hamilton did to get ahead of Hadjar. Then that didn't happen. And then, he ended up DNFing anyway. But, I think I would just, if nothing else, that's all I wanted. And then didn't get that.
I would be curious to hear what people would think of, if you're purposefully driving slow, backing up a pack, and a driver then does what George Russell did and cuts through off the track to move ahead of you because you're purposely backing everybody up and holding them up. George gets a penalty for gaining advantage going off track. I'm like, why is there no
That's what we were talking about earlier, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, why would we not also be like, the reason he had to do that is because of the person backing him up intentionally. Like, it's not like you couldn't possibly drive any faster. You're going like, no.
Exactly. No, see, I'm like, they should be penalized for that. You shouldn't be allowed to back up the pack whatsoever. Once it's determined it's 100% intentional, like you should get a drive-through penalty.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be slow, baby? Go through the pits.
Mm-hmm.
20 seconds, 20-second penalty. If you're trying to back up the pack by 20 seconds, back it up by yourself. Back up yourself. You don't got to back up everybody else.
And then our last fun fact, so we're moving on to Pierre Gasly and Alpine. So he DNF'd, but prior to DNFing in this race, he had a 100% finishing record in 6 Monaco starts.
Yeah, that was nuts. I was like, where are you going? What happened? And so from my understanding, and I know Joylan had said something about he thought that the brakes worked. He's like, your brakes worked, but I'm like, well, that doesn't mean his brakes worked appropriately. Like he hit the brakes, but they weren't working. They weren't working how they should. So
he wasn't slowing down fast enough. So basically, you just get him like careening off the track and hitting a bump, and then he's just like no brakes. Like, and I would believe that because of the way that he was driving.
Yeah,
like there were opportunities and places he could have, like runoff areas he could have pulled into if he did have working brakes, but he's like coasting. It looks like trying to get to a spot where we're seeing if he can make it back to the pits or whatever.
Yeah, well, because you can see that he hits the brakes, but it's not as much as it should have been. So I'm like, I don't think when he said no brakes, he meant I have no brakes as much as he was just saying, oh fuck, they're not working like they're supposed to. Like they worked some, but clearly not as much as they were supposed to work. But yeah, that was nuts. And then Yuki's like, what the fuck? And then Carl Pinto's like, nah! He like almost hits him out of nowhere. And he's like, where the fuck did he come from? That was scary.
And Yuki's like, what is he doing? Is he stupid? And I'm like, they're like besties.
I know,
they're really good friends. He's like, what is he doing? Is he stupid?
He goes, is he an idiot?
Yeah, and it's like, meanwhile, Pierre's like, no brakes. You're not stupid.
Afterwards, they were like, bruh, what the hell? 2 things that I took away from this weekend. We already talked about the other 2. We talked about Monaco and what they can do. It's basically a big question mark. We already talked about Lewis and his engineer. I realized, so there's 2 ways to look at it. So Max ended up pitting because he had to do a mandatory pit stop. He waited till the very last lap that he could do it because, like we said, he's waiting for a red flag. But he was backing up Lando, and that's why Charles was on him. And I'm like, Max was trying to help Charles win Monaco. But even though it sounds cutesy, he also, and like, it's better for him in the championship if Charles finishes first versus Lando. So I'm like, maybe, strategic. We can do, it's cutesy. It's because he wanted Charles to win. But it's also strategic. And he's like, it's
not because he's my friend. It's because, like, the strategically point wise, it makes more sense. He can take points off of my closest rival.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, that was interesting because the second Max pitted, Lando was fucking gone.
Yeah.
Like we said, he was long gone.
And at one point, Max is backing Lando up into Charles. So Charles is all on his ass, putting him under pressure. And then Charles comes on the radio and he's like, basically like, Lando's making a bunch of mistakes now. So like, there could be an opportunity to make something happen. And then Lando gets on the radio and is like, can you tell Oscar to get the fuck up here and help me? Like, can he
pedal to the metal, bitch? Let's fucking go.
Can he come put some pressure on Charles so he can leave me alone? Like, I thought that was very funny.
It was funny. I think Lando's engineer, they have an amazing relationship. I feel like they know each other so well that he pretty much tells, like, he knows what Lando wants to hear. And that's just, having a long working relationship at that point. But that's where I was like thinking about engineers, who Lewis is working with a new engineer and it's just not really going well. And then Lando and his engineer being like this, I'm like, y'all need to, Ferrari got enough money. They need to hit up Bono and go, all right, how much? How much?
Well, I believe Bono has he isn't just Kimi's engineer on race day. He when Lewis left, he got he took a bigger promotion.
They promoted him so they wouldn't steal him.
Yeah, but I mean, he does other stuff besides just being a race day engineer.
Ferrari, I don't know what you gotta do, but you gotta do something.
Listen, they had to fork out a lot of dough for Lewis, so I don't know if they got that.
They got it. They got enough money. All those stocks went up when they got Lewis.
That's true.
Y'all got the money for Bono. It'll go up even more if you get Bono, because all of a sudden people will go, fuck, there's a chance now. You gotta do something. But Lando seemed better this weekend. He seemed calmer. He was good. And I liked what he said during one of the post-race interviews. He pretty much said that this weekend he felt, more than anything, he proved it to himself that he does have everything he needs. He just has to hook it up. And I was happy to see him happy. Like, I wanted Charles to win just because Ferrari. But I was happy. I wasn't mad. I was happy Lando won, because I was like, people have been giving him so much shit, and I'm glad that he seemed happier, healthier mindset. Hopefully he can take that into Barcelona, because even if Lewis and Charles, if they can't win the championship, right? If they can't win the drivers' championship, if either of them can't, I would be happy if it was Lando, because of all the. It's so weird, because at first I'm like, oh, Lando sometimes is annoying. Last year when he was having his moody sort of moments. Yeah, because I'm like, bruh. But then I'm also like, I can't stand to see somebody just get hate, and there's pretty much no reason for it. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, I've seen so many people go, oh, Monaco was great until Lando won. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're just a bitch for being like that. Like, if that's truly how you feel, like, just shut the fuck up. Like, you're a little just dickhead. It's so ridiculous to have that kind of attitude and to feel that way and then to publicly state that. It's just like nobody.
It's an immature,
it's weird.
Sort of like
thing. It's group thing. Yeah. It's this weird group thing, pick me behavior where, because you've seen people get interaction from, like, you've seen other people get clicks and views and likes and shit by being a Lando hater. So now you're adopting that mindset because you want the validation from people you don't even fucking know.
I mean, you're allowed to be like pissed or whatever that your driver didn't win. But even to that point, I'm like, it doesn't affect my whole weekend or mood, or it's not really, it's like, fuck. But then I like move on.
And also it'd be different if Lando fucked somebody over, or he did something
to like your favorite driver and like it was dangerous, or did something that was controversial in their driving style or whatever that was very contentious. Like, I could understand getting riled up about that kind of stuff, but for a driver to just drive a perfect weekend and win it, and then you to be like, fuck him and I hate him and but and I'm like,
that's nuts. Bro, that's crazy behavior.
Chill out.
Yeah,
touch grass.
I mean, I get like 2021. I understood a lot of the contention and like irritation and anger that people had between the Lewis and Max thing, because there was a lot of arguable, dangerous situations going on sometimes. So but yeah, that was pretty much what I took from Monaco. It was boring, and it was as entertaining as it could be.
Okay, we can jump into our rookie report.
Yes. Okay, so hopping into our rookie report, we have Kimi Antonelli. He qualified 15th. He finished 18th, so 0 points.
Wah-wah.
He was really the only driver to overtake on the track. I mean, technically, Gabriel Bortoleto overtook him, and then Kimi said, "Oh no."
He said, "No, thank you."
And then right going into the tunnel, he overtook it back, which led Gabriel crashing into the barrier because he kind of refused to back out of his defense. He said he struggled on the C6 tire, and he just found himself stuck behind the Williams and the Racing Bulls, who were playing the team gaming and holding everybody up. So that was pretty much his race. And then we move on to Isaac Hadjar, who, love. So he qualified 6th. He finished 6th. So he got 8 points. Yay! Woo! So he started 5th due to Hamilton's penalty. So even though he qualified 6th, he started 5th on the grid. And like we said earlier, he achieved his best result of the season with his 6th place finish. He built enough of a gap in the first stint to retain position after his initial pit stop, only losing 1 place to Hamilton. The team switched him to soft tires while Lawson kind of was slowing down and backing everybody up, and just allowed Isaac to make a second pit stop without losing any places whatsoever. So they just played the team game and they were good to go.
Yep.
So we move on to Ollie Behrman. He qualified 17th. He finished 12th. So right outside the points, but 0 points for him. So he started 20th. Even though he qualified 17th, he started 20th due to a 10-place grid penalty for overtaking under red flags in practice. Him and these red flags, man. So Ollie pitted on the first lap, but he lost time due to another slow pit stop, which is a trend he also had last race where he had a slower pit stop because of one of his wheels wouldn't attach. So hopefully Haas might need to work on their pitting because it's not going well. And despite gaining 8 positions, he was held up in the train of, like, a lot of his race, he was just held up behind the Racing Bulls and the Williams and this, that, and the third. So, but he did narrowly miss out on scoring points, so good for him. But hopefully Spain will be more fun. Now we move on to Gabriel Bortoleto. He qualified 16th. He finished 14th, so 0 points. The biggest thing I noticed with him was he overtook Kimi Antonelli pretty kind of at the start, and then Kimi said, I don't think so. And then going into the tunnel, Gabriel refused to back out of the defense and ran into the barrier.
I love that it's always, he pushed me off track every single time. Anytime somebody goes off the track or they lose their position or, you know, they're in a battle with somebody on track and then he pushed me off. I had nowhere to go. He didn't give me room. And I'm just like, bro.
You saw him and you could have like backed out and you didn't.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was what it was. He had an early pit stop. It allowed him to rejoin and close back up under the virtual safety car that then happened later. And despite making 3 pit stops, he finished ahead of his teammate. So
he just added in an extra pit stop for funsies.
He was like, why not? Whatever. Now we move on to Liam Lawson. He qualified 9th and he finished 8th. So he has 4 points. Lawson was great at playing the team game. They said after qualifying, they all had the discussion and he was well aware, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And like we said, he did not expect to finish in the points, but because Williams was also playing the team game, he was able to do so. So it was also his first time scoring points this season, and he felt it was pretty special because it is in Monaco, and they're just kind of, I think, you know, Liam is finding his groove in that team. I think, you know, he had so much attention at the start of the season. He is now comfortable, and he already knew Racing Bulls, and I think, you know, he's just happy to be there and he's working well with the team. And so I'm glad to see.
You just got to put your head down and do the work. And
exactly. Like he could have, you know, he just seems like he's happy to be there. And I don't know, Racing Bulls, I'm like, watch out. They're just like, they're like the dark horse of the constructors right now. Like them, it's very interesting.
For them to be the junior team and the sister team to Red Bull, I feel like Racing Bulls is like working better.
Well, it speaks because of the car development, like we've said before.
Like, they're just more cohesive, it feels like, as a team. Like, the team spirit is better, and the drivers working together, and, like you said, the development of the car, that whole thing. So,
yeah, I was happy for them. Now we move on to our newest rookie, Franco Colapinto. He qualified 20th. He finished 13th, so 0 points. He started 18th due to Stroll and Behrman's penalties. Stroll received a penalty for causing a collision in practice, and Ollie Behrman, you know, he got the red flag for passing a car under a red flag in practice as well. He spent most of his race stuck behind the Racing Bulls and the Williams and Mercedes train, and so it limited his ability to make any type of progress. And he also narrowly avoided being hit by Pierre Gasly after he had that incident where his brakes weren't working and he had a little bit of contact with Yuki Tsunoda. And
he like hit the curb and went flying. Like,
it was, and so he like narrowly avoided that. So, I mean, really, Franco did probably all he was gonna be able to do. I mean, really, like we've said 100 times, Monaco was decided on Saturday, despite how many mandatory pit stops you had. And our last rookie, Fernando Alonso, he qualified 7th, and he had a DNF, so 0 points. He started 6th, so he qualified 7th, but he started 6th due to Hamilton's penalty, which was for impeding Max in qualifying. So he started really strong, and everybody was really positive, and he was a little upset because he wanted to do what Hamilton did with the pit stops, essentially, to get ahead of Hadjar, but it ended up not mattering because he had issues with the car and had to park it because it was smoking, and it just unfortunately was what it was, and so it was just a big disappointment. So you'll get him in Spain. You're gonna get him
next
there.
time. It's your home race. Come on,
you've got it. So yeah, that was our rookie report. So we can move on to our best and worst segment. I'm giving my driver of the day to Lando Norris, not because he won it, but because he kept it cool. He just cool as a cucumber was him. It's this, and I don't know. I just was like, you know, good form, good everything. no notes.
My driver of the day is George Russell for saying fuck it and cutting the corner.
That was funny. That was very. And then he said that he was going to make Alex pay for his meal later, and then they posted a selfie at a restaurant.
Yes.
And I thought that was funny.
And then, when George did say, "Oh, don't worry, me and Alex are going to dinner later," and he's getting the bill, Alex commented, "Oh, I'll take you to a drive-through," because George got a drive-through penalty.
Yeah.
I was like, it took like someone had to explain it, and that was a very clever Alex pun. I enjoyed that. Someone had to explain it, and I was like,
You were like, oh, drive-through? What do you mean?
yeah,
Huh?
like penalty.
Got it. My biggest letdown, it was just Monaco in general, to be honest. Like the
Girl,
track
same.
in general, the track in general, boring. I mean, not the track. Okay, the track is not boring. The race is boring. It's like
The cars are too big.
Yeah, so it was just not very entertaining.
Monaco vibes are great, immaculate.
Yeah.
Like the views and the shots of all the fucking boats in the harbor.
Beautiful.
All the cliffside,
Uh-huh.
even just all of it is gorgeous. It's a party vibe. It
Yes.
feels very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Love the vibe, like the track. It just is a boring race for F1.
Yeah, it's
So yeah, that was also my biggest letdown was the Monaco in general, but also the mandatory 2 pit stop rule for this race because it ended up not really changing anything.
yeah, it didn't change anything at all. So next week we are coming to the end of our triple header. This coming weekend, we are going to be in Barcelona. It is the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya Spanish GP. So last year's main race result was Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and Lewis Hamilton. Some information going into the weekend. The support series will be there, so that will help develop the track some. It used to be Formula One's main preseason testing venue for a very long time. It has a lot of high and low speed corners, and their turn 3 is a challenging right-hander, and it kind of helps like assess the car's balance, which is why they used to test there a lot. So some tire information. We're going to be on the hardest compounds now. It's a track that is very hard on tires. The degradation is a lot. Also is because it's very hot there, so we have high track temperatures. So we will be having the C1 as the hard tire, the C2 as the medium, and the C3 as the soft. And these were also the tire selections that were used in Suzuka. So we shall see. It'll be hopefully way more fun and way more interesting, and everybody's going to have a way better time.
It's a complete opposite end of the tire spectrum. From
Yes.
the last 2 races.
So it'll be, but also they need to, because if you use those tires that
They'll
we
melt.
use in Monaco, they're done. It's just done. So
You get half a lap and gone.
yeah. So it has 3 DRS zones, and yeah.
Oh, I was wondering, does Monaco have any DRS zones?
It said 1, but I don't know.
I'm like, not that it mattered, but
Yeah.
I was thinking that when I was watching the race because I'm like, I haven't heard anyone mention it
I
because I don't think
know.
it mattered.
I don't think it mattered at all. So yeah. So that was Monaco.
Yep.
I'm ready for
Monaco,
Spain.
baby.
Yes. Oh, I was so happy that he was happy because I'm like, you got this, dude. All right. Well, we will talk at you next time after the Spanish GP.
Bye.
Bye.